All right. So, hey, Marco, are you there? Can you hear me? Marco Polo?
Hey Kim, this is Garrett Ziegler, founder of Marco Polo. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate the tweet. We have a mutual enmity between between us for the American president. Yours goes back much longer than mine, but I appreciate that tweet that you made. And the more eyes we can get on this dossier, the better. Our motive for it was modeling it after the Mueller report, and they had 2,000 subpoenas, and all they got was 11 fake GRU officers, whereas we have at the very least 459 violations of federal laws. And it's really, it took us a year to go through. And I appreciate having me on. This is this is a very contemporary thing. Usually, when you have this much data to go through, it's as if it's after a presidential library has been opened, right? But it's a weird thing we have with Hunter's laptop, that we're going through this all in real time, and we're actually seeing the same bad actors. Victoria Nuland well. She features prominently in our report, and the same people involved in the 2014 Ukraine coup they have failed upwards, from Anthony Blinken to his wife Evan Ryan to everybody in between. So I'm honored to be here. I have a lot to talk to you about, publicly
So
or
why
privately.
don't we do this as a filler until Barry Weiss starts with her release today? Why
Awesome.
don't we talk a little bit about what you have found in your vast, expansive research into the Hunter Biden laptop and the files? The primary question that I would like to ask you is, I've seen an interview where you stated that you have found several matters in which Joe Biden himself is implicated and has acted criminally. Can you just summarize that real quick for us? What are those points that you found that made you say that?
Yes, very good question. So we found 7 federal felonies that Joe committed over a decade-long period, and very quickly they deal with the Foreign Agents Registration Act. That's 2 of the 7. Joe, as you'll recall, was basically the person who closed deals for Hunter. Hunter was the family bagman, and what would occur is very simple, but it's sort of a corruption tango that they had to play out, out of the public eye. And what would happen is this: Hunter would advocate on behalf of a foreign principal, which is, again, in the United States, illegal if you do not declare that relationship to the Justice Department. And that exact statute is what they went after Paul Manafort for stuff that happened way before the 2016 election, which was what Mueller's quote unquote purview was all about. And so 2 of the 7 deal with FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act. It's been on the books since 1938 in the United States. Very old statute. The other,
Can you explain what
yes.
exactly the statute means? Not in too much detail, but does it mean that if you have any role in the U.S. government or are connected in any kind of official capacity, that if you have any kind of dealings with foreign nations, foreign governments, then you have to disclose that
Mm-hmm.
and get permission to act in that way? Is that right?
Well, it's really a low bar in that the relationship itself. So I'll get very very concrete, and I'll explain this through an example. Hunter was a quote unquote consultant for a Romanian tycoon named Gabriel Popoviciu. Gabriel Popoviciu hired Hunter Biden's firm Rosemont Seneca to try to lobby the U.S. State Department, and specifically the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest, to strong arm Romanian prosecutors to lessen their case against Gabriel. Now, if Hunter declared that relationship to the U.S. Justice Department, that relationship in itself is not illegal. But what happened was Hunter was acting as Gabriel's agent without disclosing it to the DOJ, and so because the bar is so low and it's mere disclosure, and the U.S. government allows these principal agent relationships to occur, if you don't disclose, the penalties are steep. Manafort had millions of dollars in funds, excised, and there was a lot of of asset forfeiture there. And so theoretically, all of Hunter's gains from Burisma, the $1.2 million in board fees, could be forfeited because they came through a relationship that was not legal under the FARA.
Okay,
and so
can you explain why FARA would even cover Hunter Biden, the son of a then vice president? Like, why is he under that umbrella?
Mm-hmm. So what the laptop shows is very concretely, and we put all of the emails from the Biden laptop up online. It's called BidenLaptopEmails.com. We did this in May, and you can go today, search keyword Vadim Pazarski. And the reason why I'm going into the weeds here is because he was Hunter's handler at Burisma. He was an advisor technically to the board of directors, and what Hunter did was advocate on behalf of Burisma to government officials, and that's the key for FARA. You have to advocate a certain policy or a certain position taken for that agent. And basically he was lobbying the U.S. government, meaning his dad. And the reason why we're so, because these are very, very hard allegations we're making that somebody committed a federal felony. It's because we have verified emails of Vadim saying to Hunter, we need you to, quote, use your influence about our current situation. Which is basically Mykola Zlochevsky was being investigated for corruption. Hunter's job was to get that investigation stopped. Joe Biden in January of 2018 bragged about this very thing at the Council of Foreign Relations, another demonic entity, and said, son of a bitch, I got him fired. And so what happened
wait
was...
a minute, that wasn't in Bucharest, that was in Ukraine. He got the prosecutor in Ukraine fired.
Yep, and that's why I'm saying there was at least 459 violations of law, because there were 6 different countries that Hunter represented agents from illegally. And so there's the Romania case with Gabriel Popoviciu, in which they were lobbying the U.S. government to take a position. And then, of course, the infamous one with Burisma, where George Kent, the liberal bow tie wearing State Department official, testified under oath that Zlochevsky paid a $6 million bribe to the prosecutor's office.
So wait a minute. Are you saying that that Joe Biden did the same in another country and got another prosecutor fired?
Yes, this is one of the key. I think, all this material, wow, Kim, has been out there, but what our contribution is to all of this, and we have not been really self-promoting too much, but our contribution to all of this is that I played, me and 5 other guys, an attorney, a private investigator, an accountant, and a couple of other, digital forensics folks. We played with the Rubik's Cube long enough to make these connections, and what happened in both Romania and Ukraine was very simple. It boils down to this: Hunter was hired to influence law enforcement matters in a country, in Romania and Ukraine. And these oligarchs, Gabriel Popoviciu and Mykola Zlochevsky, both of which have vast holdings in Cypriot shell companies, they hired Hunter to do the wink, wink, nod, nod, and get Joe to intervene on their behalf. Now, without Hunter's laptop, we wouldn't be able to prove this, and that's why I'm being so forthright on this call. I'm usually not like this, but because we have their comms in WhatsApp, in emails, in their text messages, it's clear as day. Once you play with the Rubik's Cube long enough and put all the pieces together, you see what the mission was. And so everybody can go to Biden.digital or here'shunter.com. Our main website's MarcoPoloUSA.org, and they can read it for themselves. We've not had one left-wing debunker yet.
So, what I find quite interesting is not only did Joe Biden remove a prosecutor that was investigating corruption at Burisma, the company where Hunter Biden was sitting on the board, but the same thing happened in another country. So, and again, with Hunter Biden's involvement, the U.S. going around pulling its weight to make sure that foreign prosecutors are getting kicked out of their jobs. In Ukraine, I believe Biden threatened that $1 billion loan from the IMF is not going to come forward if that doesn't happen immediately. And they fired the guy the same day. And he's done that in other countries. Wow, that is new to me. I didn't know he's done the same thing in Romania.
Well, Kim, there is one other point that I think you'll particularly be interested in. In the Romanian case, one of the people that violated the FAR on with Hunter. He was basically his partner in this sordid affair. His name is Mike Gottlieb, longtime attorney at Boyce Schiller Flexner. He's at a different firm now, and the reason why I'm bringing him up right now with you is that Mike Gottlieb represented Seth Rich's brother, Aaron Rich, and he got him to basically sue these people for defamation. And Mike Gottlieb represented Ruby Freeman, who committed federal felonies in Georgia and got put out by the January 6th committee in front of the whole world. Basically, she been it on camera that she was ballot harvesting. So what do we have here? Not only is it Hunter Biden, because remember, Hunter has an IQ just barely above room temperature. He's really, really not that sharp. His job is very simple.
Well,
He's making
substance abuse that does that to you, no?
yeah. His job is to make the introductions and be in the room and make sure that the message gets conveyed to his daddy. But these killers like Mike Gottlieb, on the other hand, they do have a high verbal IQ, and he is at the center of both not only the Romanian FARA violations with Gabriel Popoviciu, but also the Seth Rich saga and Ruby Freeman. And again, if anybody on this call, you probably haven't heard of me before, but we're hitting very close to the bone here. Hunter's attorney actually threatened me and my nonprofit, said I needed to pick out an outfit for jail and I needed to get lube because he's going to bankrupt me and my family. You can go look it up on Daily Mail. Kevin Morris. We basically catfished him and infiltrated Hunter Biden's UPA research team this summer. And Kevin Morris got so mad when he found the pictures posted in the New York Post, they just went on a rampage and called me all these bunch of names. It's really quite incredible.
When you mention Seth Rich, is the recent development that the FBI again does not want to disclose the contents of his laptop and have asked the judge, who is already ordered to disclose the data, to stop it because of some labeling technicality. Now saying not under the FOIA Act, it's something completely different. So the U.S. government is struggling to keep the Seth Rich data secret, just like they were in collusion really to kill the Hunter Biden story, which is turning out to be, much more interesting than the media made us believe. But please go ahead. Sorry for that.
Well, no, I was just going to say thank you for bringing that up. I think that we have, one thing I've been meaning to reach out to you on through a private line is that we have access to discovery materials based on a lawsuit that shows another character is involved in this Seth Rich saga, and it's somebody that hasn't even reached the public domain yet. And it deals with one of Seth Rich's college classmates, who ironically was a Republican, sort of an establishment GOP figure, who we believe, and again, this is speculation. Everything I've said, heretofore has been documented in our report. But there's another figure in this Seth Rich saga that I think you, of all people on planet Earth, could help us uncover, and so maybe we can connect.
That he has been frequently in touch with, right?
Yeah, and this person actually called him a dozen times the night Seth Rich was murdered, July 10th, 2016. Yeah. And the reason why I'm going into this is because these materials, these call logs, were only given to my nonprofit from somebody who is in civil litigation. So they got it through discovery and a subpoena. And so I think this is, I guess, all I'm trying to say is the internet's written in ink. This is not going away. And we set up this small 501c3 with a very small budget to go after the most, things that are very close to the bone. They're very protective of Hunter. He's the most protected person look at the Pavlovian dog-like response, not just at Twitter, guys, but did you know that the signatories on that letter from the intelligence officials, the former spooks, right? Of those 51, more were Republicans. So yes, I worked for Donald Trump.
Well, that's the uni party for you, right?
Yes, exactly. And a lot of people don't tell that side of the story, that this is not these aren't crocodile tears from Republicans on Twitter. This was a uniparty operation to influence an election.